This year to take back number one.
Man who wants to get that championship back. And he chased him down with a 44. One of Gary Phillips' best ever runs.
But there are plenty of hungry opponents who will do anything to ensure Phillips doesn't win his 17th Top Alcohol Championship.
Next run, Gary Phillips, big issues, got some liquid under the tyres and into that wall. Very, very hard. Now, you've got to remember, Gary Phillips is in championship contention, isn't he, Matt?
Yeah, this was a big moment for the 16-time Top Alcohol champion. The throttle jammed after it hit the wall here. Very uncharacteristic moment for Gary Phillips. Was very, very lucky. The body peeling off the car. You can see the elastic holding the body from going over too far into the grandstands here, but a massive moment and a big dent on his championship hopes.
Absolutely, and in terms of the driver, there was nothing Gary Phillips was going to do about that. It was apparently a broken oil fitting that dumped all that fluid under the tyre, and, well, that was all she wrote.
John Cannulli and Darren Fry are up next, and both at their times disallowed. Cannulli touching the wall and then Fry taking out the finish line blocks.
Steve Reid, though, he showed them exactly how to do it. Straight down the centre of the lane for a 5.54 to go to the number one qualifying spot. But it was all about Gary Phillips after that first qualifying session, and Matt Nolte's down there. This is session 2.
I love Super Saturday, and why not kick it off with a couple of dragsters here. John Sting gets his best time of the weekend, a 5.54.1 for the man that won this event last year up against Pete Zello.
Next up, Jamie Noonan and Darren Fry. Darren Fry, good run for him, 5.66, gets down in that fantastic looking funny car. I've got to say, 5.66 gets him solidly into the field. Our number one qualifier coming into this session, Steve Reid, is on track now, but Rob Ambrosi gets a little bit loose in the braking area, gives the wall a tap. It's after the finish line, so that run still counts for him.
Yeah, just some work for him to do between the sessions. It was night time when we come out for qualifying session 3, and the crowd stuck around to see Ambrosi come out. Cannulli would do his career best qualifying time ever, but the big talking point left the screen. Rob Ambrosi, a big blow up in the Ashfields entry, and that would actually put him in hospital overnight. He will make it back out for race day, but a big moment there for Rob Ambrosi.
So John Cannulli will lead us into race day with that personal best of a 5.42, really knocking on the door of the national record as well, it has to be said. Steve Reid, second, 5.54. John Sting, Jamie Noonan, Darren
on Cannulli and Price, Noonan versus Fry, Reid versus Zello, and Sting up against Ambrosi in this first round of eliminations. Of course, lane choice going to the quicker ET from qualifying, and history will show that left of screen has been pretty popular over the years. As we check out our first matchup, it's going to be Darren Fry that qualified in the number 5 position with that 5.66, taking on Jamie Noonan, who's in some great form in that Noonan Race Engineering Dragster in the background of that picture. This guy's been fast, Rusty.
This guy is very, very fast. He's got a new combination on this weekend, and it's got to be said, he's actually made the final of the last 2 Winter Nationals as well. So the guy's in very, very good touch when it comes to racing here at Willowbank Raceway. But I think all eyes are going to be on the championship connotations once John Cannulli rolls up to the line here this afternoon.
Yeah, Noonan doesn't care about that. He's here to go fast, and if qualifying was anything to go by, this dragster is threatening the Top Alcohol Dragster national record this weekend. First round of the Winters here, the 48th edition at Willowbank.
Whole shot advantage to Noonan. Very tight at the finish line, but the win going to the Dragster. 5.50, that's a booming run for a Dragster. On board now with the replay. This was just about picture perfect the whole way down the racetrack.
Just close to the centre line. It's under the national record, so he's got a chance to back that up in the semis. Tough break for Darren Fry. Man, the funny car was on a mission, and just a car length to the finish line.
Well, new personal best as well for Darren Fry. It's got to be said with that 5.57. A valiant effort with the loss there, but still very, very tight racing in Top Alcohol. Next pair up, Peter Zello, a relative newcomer to Top Alcohol Dragsters, but not necessarily to drag racing in general, and he is taking on one of the old hands of Top Alcohol in Steve Reid.
Yeah, Steve Reid watched him now at the All-Star Batteries entry. Brand new matchup in the championship. It's his first race day start for Peter Zello, of course, of Zello's luggage fame. These parents, Kevin and Joan, who started the business back in the 70s. He's a former comp racer, and he debuted this car last year, but great to have him in the field for race day here today. But Steve Reid, he knows this track like the back of his hand, Rusty.
Well, he's been up and down it once or twice, it's got to be said. He basically grew up at this racetrack, has done a lot of racing since this place opened, and I think if there's anybody that you don't want to come up against in the first round of racing, it is Steve Reid.
He was tied with John Sting for ET in qualifying. got the nod. He was 12 miles an hour quicker during that run. Bought the All-Star Batteries funny car. Both in. And it's a reaction time advantage to Zello at 0.64, but it's not going to be enough. The All-Star Batteries funny car gets the job done and runs a 5.54. The speed is there also, 411 Ks. Still a good run, though, for the Dragster, Rusty.
Yeah, Mr. Consistency for Steve Reed this weekend. Peter Zello looked like he had to give it a pedal. Looked like it might have even thrown the blower belt off it, or something definitely came off that car at around about half track. But still, Steve Reed, he might not be the quickest car in the field this weekend, but he is certainly one of the most consistent.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to find a tenth or a tenth and a half per second that he needs to find to run with the likes of Canuli, who's been running in the 40s most of the season. We'll go to our next matchup now, Wayne Price, the number 8 qualifier, and the time not respective of what this best engineered car of the Winter Nationals, we should say, is capable of doing. But it's going to be a hard task to take down this guy. Chasing the championship, career best ET in qualifying, 5.42. I talk of John Canuli.
Now the championship scenario, as it shakes out for John Canuli, he has to make the final round. If he makes the final round, he will be a first-time top alcohol champion. If he loses before then, it's all over. The title will stay with Gary Phillips. It's going to be a pressure cooker.
And Phillips is in the stands, pretty much down the end of that shot right now, watching on. He's done this before, if you think back to 2012 also, when we raced on a Tuesday. But it's Price and Canuli in round 1. Oh dear. 0.434 for Price, and Canuli's going to hose him at the finish line here and goes 5.43 again. This guy is hungry for a championship.
5.43, that is a booming run from the funny car and really backs up that qualifying performance. I tell you what, Wayne Price was never really in this one. He was a day and a half late on the start line. You'd think for a Baker he'd get up early.
Yeah, that's spoiled that doesn't, hasn't it?
Well, John Canuli, he continues this potential championship march, but still a fair bit of work left to do for him.
John Sting, the defending Winter Nationals champion, reversing up for Reds Global this weekend, qualified in number 3. Will take on Robert Ambrosi, who's back today. He's suffered a little bit of injuries from last night, but he's okay to go. They've worked on the car all night. And a guy that went 2 tenths quicker in qualifying. He said, I've never felt that fast ever in my life. He's got James Rowland on board this weekend, the Ausfield Performance Racing Oils entry, 5.76. This guy was running 6 flat and 5.90s all season long.
Well, 5.70 is definitely in the ballpark, still with a little bit of work left to do when you consider that John Sting qualified in the 50s with the Dragster. He is the defending Winter Nationals winner, as you touched on. So John Sting in some very good touch over the last season. But Rob Ambrosi, he's going to be hungry for his round win here in the first round of the Fuchs Winter Nationals Top Alcohol final pair of round 1.
They last met at the Nationals last year in round number 1. On that day, John Sting put him back on the trailer. Ambrosi's got the whole shot here. And is he going to do it? Oh, I don't know about this. He's just going to hang on. It's a 5.70. It's a whole shot win, a massive whole shot win.
Whoa, chalk one up for the driver right there. That was a massive reaction time advantage. Nearly 2 tenths of a second, and he pulled it out at the finish line. John Sting just didn't have enough to drive around him. A hint of tyre shake for the Dragster, getting very close to the centre line for the funny car, but that was all it took, and he takes home that round win.
That's the upset of the round. It was visible from the jib canny. You're right about the tyre shake just before half track, and Ambrosi fights on.
So here is your top alcohol race ladder for Snap-on. The semi-final sees a must-win matchup for John Canuli taking on Jamie Noonan in that of top alcohol for the Fuchs Winter Nationals run and done. But stay with us after the break. We're going racing with Top Door Slammer. Don't go anywhere.
The 2015 Andra Top Door Slammer champion has been crowned, and his name is John Zappia. Now with a record 8 Door Slammer titles to his name, the West Aussie's dominance this year has been nothing short of superhuman.
This one's going to the stripe. Zappia just 7,000ths of a second at the stripe.
East Queensland, we are really looking forward to this one. And having a look at the highlights now, I'm going to bring Matt Nolte in because this was an interesting session.
Yep, no chance of rain this weekend. Don't be fooled by those clouds, Rusty. It was Friday night qualifying here, a great crowd on hand. And Marty Dack and Ben Bray, the comeback kid, aboard Dad Victor Bray's 57 Chev. We're down the track in the first pass. It was a 5.98 for the Dack attack aboard the Valvoline Falcon.
How good is it to see Ben Bray back in the seat? Peter Kapiris and Pino Priolo pulling up to the start line now. This was a controversial one, but the time of Peter Kapiris, 6:02, stood, and Pino Priolo, a 6:01, would have got him into the field, but was disqualified.
Yeah, it's created a massive stink amongst the paddock here this weekend. John Zapier came out in his usual qualifying best and goes 5.73 straight